Okay, so tune in next week to meet our special guest, Passionate Forager Extraordinaire, Horace, as I know him, but some of you might know him as Wayne Sheffield. Let's take a moment to say hi. Hi, Horace, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. We're all excited coming off this mushroom festival and anxious to learn even more as we dig into this amazing topic.
It sounds exciting. Ever since I started mushroom foraging, I've always heard about Pennsylvania having so many different species, wild mushrooms, but also, of course, being one of the major areas where cultivated mushrooms are produced. And I've never been over there and picked, and certainly a lot of species there I've never picked. I'd like to try someday.
Oh gosh, you'll have to come next year for the festival. Well, and when you are our special guest next week, we're anxious to hear all about your experiences foraging, as well as your acumen on truffles, and anything that you want to share as a professional chef and caterer, and of course a forager. We're so excited to speak more with you next week.
Yeah, me too. I'll talk about mushrooms till you tell me to stop.
Sounds good, right, Libby?
It sounds fantastic. And Horace, thanks for popping on and giving us a sneak preview or a little taste tester here. Very much looking forward to next week.
Me too, Libby. Thanks a lot.
Okay, see you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Look it up for yourself. What is the mushroom capital of the world? And you will find it right here under your nose in Chester County, Pennsylvania. On this show, we are celebrating and recapping last weekend's Mushroom Festival in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. As boasted on their water tower, Kennett Square is known as the mushroom capital of the world. And they don't want you or the 100,000 people who attended the festival this weekend to forget it. Well, I'm here today with my sister, Marnie Mills, and she actually attended Kennett Square's annual Mushroom Festival over the weekend. Welcome, Marnie.
Hi, Libby. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad that we could talk about mushrooms. I have to ask you, did you know that the area produces, Kennett Square and the surrounding area, did you know that this area produces over half of the mushrooms in the United States? That's pretty darn incredible. And with the industry dating back to the 19th century, well, the late 19th century, after the colonial period, Pennsylvanians now are proud of their deep history, and this town holds an annual mushroom festival to celebrate this heritage. The mushrooms are so popular these days that you can imagine how they play a significant role in its culture and economy, bringing in billions of dollars in annual revenue to the county.
I know, it's so amazing. You would never guess the small Chester County community of Kennett Square and the surrounding area could produce so many mushrooms.
I know. Well, before we get into the production and talking with Tim Page of Lampard Farms, first, let's hear a little bit more about the festival.
Okay, well, navigating the festival was very easy, considering, I went with Mom, and she needs a walker for these big events. We parked at the shuttle stop and took a $5 bus ride, and luckily it was air conditioned because it was very hot. And the bus catered to handicapped special need riders, so that was a good deal. And we wound up going on Saturday, the opening day, and it was hot and muggy, like I said, but luckily a breeze came through and that kept us going. So
that's good.
I know, thank goodness. State Street was the main drag, and that was closed off with vendors with booths lined up on either side. And the rest were basically mushroom enthusiasts, and they came out in droves. They had all kinds of adorable outfits on, like mushroom hats and printed clothes, crochet purses and such. The ride was very spirited, but mellow, I'm sure, because it was so hot and humid. There was music, and thankfully a jazz singer ensemble cooled things off nicely. And further down on a side street, a band was set up on a stage. Luckily, it was not blaring too loud either, and I always appreciate that. When music creates a vibe and doesn't interfere with conversation, it just feels so good. And you were really able to interact with the vendors. So not only were there samples to try, but small dishes and larger items for sale. And the restaurants along State Street were all serving their sidewalk cafes. So it was just a vibrant scene of mushroom enthusiasts. And even though the crowd was thick, it kept moving. And it was okay because the slow pace allowed you to stop and engage or try some morsel that caught your fancy. Which brings us to our first taste. Mom and I tried a classic sauteed mushroom with seasoned black pepper, and it was so savory. It was just a perfect thing to start with. Next, it was kind of interesting. You hear about all these beverages with mushrooms, and we tried a chaga coffee with an added chaga extract, which boosts immunity. So there was no alcohol or sugar in it. A lot of times extracts are made with alcohol, and just chaga extract and black coffee, and it was delicious. Also, there was, it's a nice way to get your mushrooms. You wouldn't even think about it, but with your coffee. Also, there was a brick and mortar business, as I was about to say, Michoacana Mexican ice cream, where they boast handmade ice cream, and believe it or not, there was a mushroom popsicle. And I'll be honest.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, it was tough. I'll be honest. We weren't that brave. I forewent the ice cream completely, but Mom did love her coconut peach. So overall, the setup worked beautifully, and I commend the festival organizers on a very comfortable and exciting, savory and inviting event.
Wow. Well, I think I might have had more guts than you and Mom, because I think I might have gone for the mushroom popsicle. But I also get someone's reservations, because that's hard to imagine. What were rather some of the highlights?
Oh, the actual growers were the best. We found the Mushroom Society house on a side street and saw displays of how to cultivate mushrooms. And they had flatbeds of manure compost with mycelium growing on top, and another bed full of fruiting oyster and cremini mushrooms. And it was just beautiful. There were various other displays showing cultivation practices, like the plastic bag packed with compost, simulating like growing on a log technique. And it was so cool. Yeah, just like it would be in nature, only through cultivation. And it was so cool. The fruit, the actual mushrooms were so firm and bright. They were just fantastic. And that's when we headed across after that to the street for the ice cream at Michoacana. And I'll admit that the picture of the mushroom popsicle looked like it had chunks of mushrooms, kind of circling back to that. So if you do decide you want to go and try it, Mom and I both agreed to pass. But the avocado ice cream caught my eye, which I will go back and try.
I don't blame you for that one, for sure. But I think I might have opted for the mushroom popsicle. Sounds pretty adventurous.
I know you would have gone for it.
Yep, absolutely. Now, this last weekend celebrated the 40th annual celebration. The borough of Kennett Square and the surrounding Chester County, Pennsylvania, is deeply rooted in its connection to mushroom cultivation, which has made the area the largest hub for commercial mushroom farming in the United States. And I love mushrooms. Specifically, I was going to focus in on maitake and thinking they were my favorite, but then of course I remembered shiitake mushrooms, and of course there is porcini mushrooms and the ever so elusive morel mushroom.
Oh, those buttery morels. I know. One minute I think shiitake's my favorite, and then you bring up the morels, and don't forget the lobster-like lion's mane. Oh, it really can be translate to like a lobster substitute. So delicious.
Absolutely. I love lion's mane. How could I have forgotten that one? And, since we're talking about mushrooms, fungi, what makes the perfect mushroom?
Well, it has to do with consistent climate and the availability of resources coupled with a strong work ethic. This has allowed the area to become the dominant force that it is in the U.S. mushroom industry for over a century.
Speaking of which, mushrooms have gone way mainstream from the button and canned mushrooms that you remember we grew up with. Now they're a major forerunner in culinary innovation and nutritional science.
Oh yeah, like chaga and lion's mane, coffees that we hear about, and also, tonics and tinctures. Things like the anti-cancer properties of turkey tail in tonics and tinctures and supplements. So, obviously it's been going on for those in the know for a long time, but a big surge in awareness came with the fantastic film, Fantastic Fungi, and the TED Talk by Paul Stamets. When his story and research went viral, the world really did become a better place, and the zeitgeist, our love for mushrooms, became unstoppable.
Exactly.
Fun fact, humans are genetically related to mushrooms. So while they're not our direct ancestors, both animals and fungi share a common single-celled ancestor that lived over 1 billion years ago and belonged to the same supergroup of life called, and here I have to take my time, Opisthokonta. So that's the subgroup that we all belong to. And this evolutionary connection is supported by molecular evidence showing that humans share a substantial portion of their DNA with fungi evident in shared biological functions such as storing carbohydrate energy as glycogen and producing vitamin D when exposed to sunlight.
That's so cool and amazing. And to think of all the ways that mushrooms are available to us for our enjoyment culinarily and to help us. And that's what this festival is celebrating. Innovation in the culinary space has gone way beyond the portobello sandwich and veggie patties. And to think of all the ways mushrooms are available to us to enjoy and to help us. And that's what this festival is celebrating. Mushrooms are prized for their versatility, earthy, umami flavor, and texture, making them ideal for both whole food application or ingredients. And what else did you see at the festival?
Well, the vendors were so fun with their forest and mushroom-inspired booths. The fresh lemonade stand was in the shape of a big yellow lemon with a green leaf on top. And whether they were selling food or beverages or artisan wares, the vendor diversity kept my interest the whole time. Delicious aromas wafted through the breeze, and you can try these tasty recipes that they had on the website, mushroomfestival.org recipes.
Well, cooking with mushrooms always elevates the flavor of food, and with kind of that savory umami. So, sometimes umami is called the fifth flavor, and it adds a savory quality to everything.
Yeah. And our taste bud receptors can detect sweet, salty, bitter, and sour, the 4 tastes, and umami or savory is the 5th.
Yep. And when we look at some of the recipes, one of them that really stood out to me was what was the name of it?
The crepe and chickens, you mentioned that to me before.
Exactly. Granted, it was from 2017, but it clearly was worth keeping, called Bon Vivant Mushroom and Chicken Crepes. So this can be found on the mushroomfestival.org website. And of course, this recipe, I even felt it is a must try. So kudos to them for keeping it on the website. And of course, I do want to highlight some of the flavors that are in this recipe. Did you get a chance to check it out?
I did, and I thought it looked very interesting, and I certainly want to try it myself. What was most notable about it were, of course, the mushrooms, but combining them with chicken strips and fresh lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, the cremini mushrooms, of course, apricot preserves, tarragon, milk and flour, 1 large egg. It just sounded so delicious. And of course, some spreadable cheese. It just sounds so savory and rich.
Yes, I have to agree with you. It was the apricot preserves and the tarragon. It's that really just sold me. I mean, honestly, I have to try it. Coupled with the fact that there's the Worcestershire in it, and I even thought it through. Yes, I love chicken, but at the same time, when I was reading it, the chicken made me think of chickpeas, and I could easily see filling these crepes with the same flavors, but just substituting chickpeas for the chicken.
Sure, it can go vegan real fast, and even the dairy can be switched out for, non-dairy type of milk replacement. And this
Absolutely.
brings me, though, just speaking of all of these different things combined together for these wonderful meals, I wanted to mention, I have a friend, Horace Sheffield, who is the Passionate Forager. And again, some of you might know him as Wayne Sheffield, and you can find him on YouTube under Passionate Forager 2, showcasing his quest for food, medicine, beauty, adventure, and spiritual experience in the outdoors. He focuses hunting and gathering is in our DNA, our human collective consciousness, and his channel explores and pursues and enjoys these timeless connection with nature. He is a professional chef and a mushroom forager expert, a wealth of information. And I'm very excited that he's going to be our guest next week to continue this conversation on mushroom and fungi.
It was so great that Horace could join us just to say hello. I'm very much looking forward to next week when he joins us to talk further about